My name's Brandon Bodenhammer. I'm headed up to Ivory and Antler Outfitters. I was up here a couple of years ago with Earl and had a couple of great experiences. Just couldn't get the shot we needed. So I'm really looking forward to this week and getting my opportunity again. Leading up to the hunt, I tried to average, 40 to 50 arrows at least 4 times a week. You don't get this experience very often, so I wanted to make sure I was extremely prepared for anything that I might encounter or be presented with. We just got here to camp, set our bows in, make sure they're still good. Now it's time to head out and see what we can encounter. My guide Quinn, he's a special young man. Probably one of the best guides I've ever been with. Extremely knowledgeable for his age. One of the best callers I've ever heard. His personality's second to none. There were several times during this hunt that, my morale was extremely low, to say the least. And just some of the ways he acts and intermingles with the clients. There's very few people like him in the industry anymore, and it's good to see, especially at his age. Plus, he's probably got one of the best beards I've seen in a long time, so that kind of helps him out. As a young kid growing up, watching Texas Trophy Hunters on TV and then going to the extravaganzas and some of the events they have, it's just an honor and a privilege to be able to finally work with these people, especially in a setting like this. We'll nestle in here for a little while. So we're hoping that they're going to bail off the top there, and we'll watch and figure out which finger they're going to go in, and we'll use this drainage as cover. Get in there and try to pinch them off. Hopefully they're bugling and we'll make a good move on them. All right, sounds
good. I met Brandon on the day before his hunt and had heard a lot about him. He had been up here before and I hadn't guided him, so he came into camp and me and him went on a scouting afternoon and kind of got to know each other, and instantly I knew me and him were going to hit it off as hunters and as sportsmen.
Well, it's pretty quiet. Slip down to these aspens, see if we can get something to sound off. The weather's perfect. See if something's got to be moving around. See if we can get one to talk to us a little bit. That sounds good. Favorite part of elk hunting is definitely the bugle. Just the extreme adrenaline rush you get. That massive of an animal can come in dead silent and then bugle 5 yards away from you. There's no way to really explain the feeling you get.
Well, this time of year they should be cranked up and rutting pretty good. It's just not happening. We had some good action on this hill last night. Came in here and slept in here, and we're going to kind of survey. It's pretty dry in there. We haven't heard any bugles, and we don't feel like beating the timber up, getting in there and busting them, so we're just going to slip out of here and wait for the day that they crank off and we can make our move on when they're sounding off. Be a lot more efficient.
This segment of Trophy Hunters TV is brought to you by Swagger Bipods, the bipod with moves.
Hunting elk presents a whole lot of challenges. Everything has to line up just right. You have to have a good shooting lane. The elk actually has to stop where their vitals are in that shooting lane. Hunting timber, you're not always going to have a 360-degree field of view or shooting lane. So a lot of things have to come in and work perfect at pretty much the same time to be able to pull off a good shot. So pretty much getting started on our hunts, we would come out, we'd find a high vantage point. do a lot of glassing, make a couple of moves to different vantage points on top of hills, see if we could locate a herd.
Since we're not hearing any, we'll just keep doing these little popping stops. See if we can drag one out. Go find a spot and set up in here for a while and listen back. From here, we should be able to see, or hear at least, both sides of the section. We'll sit here for an hour or so, and if it's kind of dead, we'll work our way back around to that other ridge over there and see what that has to produce.
Hunting these elk when they're this silent, you just got to get lucky. It's hard to get into a good position that they might come out of. So pretty much all we're doing is sitting back and praying for a bugle.
All right, well, since we got the wind shifted a little bit, this meadow seems to be pretty barren. Make a big loop around, get to a different meadow and glass from there and see if we can turn a bull up and make a move or make a plan for the morning. There's a bull. There's a bull. He had us dead in our, we thought we were dead in our tracks. So we hit the ground and he ended up sitting there and they fed right to us. And the cows were at 30 yards and I think that bull was at somewhere around 50. We hit the deck and we didn't even have time to grab an arrow before I realized that there's, 10 other cows sitting 30 yards from us feeding directly into us. We had no time to move, no time to grab an arrow. So our hope was to let the cows feed past us and get some trees in between us, grab an arrow, and make a play from there. That's a stud bull. Yeah, so that's just proof of the pudding right there that the struggle we were having with these silent elk. These whole herd of elk moved in 70 yards behind us where we had been sitting for 5 hours and we didn't hear a single bugle, not a cow call, not a twig break. So that was the struggle we were dealing with at that point, but at least we knew there were elk in there and that got our spirits up. We had the wind in our favor, so to our plus, they just knew something wasn't right, so we didn't blow them out of here. They just pinned us in the middle of the road, so they knew that something was up, but they never smelt us and they never saw like a definitive movement. But I came around the corner and all I saw was tines. And if I would have seen it 1 second earlier, we could have dove behind that tree. That's a new bull. And that's a stud. That's exactly what you want to see. I didn't have time to get nervous though.
Without the bulls making any noise, it was pretty much trying to find a needle in a haystack.
This segment is provided by Big and J. The aroma is super strong, the range is super long.
Hunting bulls up here in this terrain, I mean, you can be in thick aspen, heavily wooded areas and walk out and you can be hunting them in, 300-acre hay meadows out in the wide open or willow bottoms. So, I mean, you're really having to cover a whole lot of different styles of terrain in the same day to come in on contact with bulls. Yeah, probably one of the best mornings we had. We got to our spot pretty early. As soon as we get out of the truck, we can hear bulls screaming up on the mountain. We sneak in there, get into good position, Right as daybreak starts, Quinn hits a few cow calls. We don't hear anything for about 15, 20 minutes. Then all of a sudden, cameraman whispers, says there's a bull off to my right, which is my blind side. We were set up beside a couple of pine trees. He had us pegged the whole way, came in about, seemed like 4 yards. And as soon as he came, offered a broadside shot, he was staring right at us. I mean, we were dead. That was our first good encounter. It was extremely adrenaline rush, but at the same time disheartening to have a good bull like that close and just have to watch him walk by.
So we let the situation die down after that bull blew out of there, and I made my way quietly over to where Brandon was standing, and we were kind of reassessing the situation of that bull encounter, and I heard a stick break, and immediately we set Brandon up to where we heard that stick break, and right when Brandon got set up, all you can see come through the timber was tines. So Brandon gets a clean draw off. There's plenty of brush in between the bull and us, and the bull continues at us. And at this point, I think that our hunt is over. There's a beautiful 6-point bull 20 yards in front of us, and nothing could go wrong. I think it's just about done.
Set up. He came down the trail, circled around behind a tree at about 30. I was at full draw. He held it. Came in about 25 yards, still didn't have a clean shot. He turned around and spooked out. We were able to stop him with a cow call. When he just walked behind some trees. We're gonna hang here for a little bit.
Famous words of an archery elk hunter, we needed one more step. So we get back in there nice and early in the afternoon, get set up quietly, and we're waiting on the bugles from the elk that we'd been seeing in there, and nothing. We didn't hear anything for 3 or 4 hours in there.
Quinn made a few calls, sat there for about 15, 20 minutes, then all of a sudden look over to my left, and here comes the bull that I had the encounter with this morning, just covered in mud, completely black.
And the bull's about 50 yards from Brandon, 50 to 60 yards from him, and there is a big tree right in the way, completely blocking Brandon's shot to draw or to make a move, and the situation just was less than ideal.
Seems to be my luck. We just about went in. Aside from killing one, we can't get much closer than these encounters. We have bulls all over us pretty much the last day and a half. Just gotta keep after it, man. That was cool. Not a bugle all night. We sat here for 4 hours, moved 100 yards, and called 3 times. Some things just aren't meant to be. And we're down to our last day. It's now or never, and we've got to make it happen. I like hunting any type of animal with archery or with a bow over gun, just for the fact of it's more challenging. I like a challenge. A lot of people, I mean, you can reach out and touch animals from, 1,000 yards away, but it takes skill and a whole lot of other things coming together at the same time to be able to pull off a good kill shot, within under 100 yards.
So we're going back to the same spot because that's where the elk are. We get in there really early and we start walking down the trail in the pitch black, and it is a frenzy going on. We can hear elk down 100 yards below us fighting, tearing up the water, 6, 7 bugles going off in every direction, and this is exactly what we dreamed of. This is what we wanted, and we had it. I want to get to that tree line and work the tree line all the way down. Right now we can't. I want to end up where we took those pictures yesterday, or the other day. That'll give us a good spectrum. If nothing else, we can see where some of these bulls split off. That's, right now, where they're at, we gotta cross the river to get to them.
As soon as we get down there and start getting some eyes on them, we notice that they're actually going the opposite direction of what they have been. And with the wind, the way it was, sadly, we just had to sit there and watch them walk about 800 yards up into the timber before we could even make a move to start chasing them. Yeah, as soon as we get up into the timber, we've got 2 or 3 bulls that we can hear. I get into position, Quinn hits a few cow calls, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, this little calf walks right, within a foot of me and is just circling me. And, all I can keep thinking is, perfect live decoy running around. Quinn's hitting the cow calls. And we sit there for 15 to 20 minutes. And he answers Quinn maybe once or twice more. And that was it. And he never came up over the top.
Let's just keep trying and see if we can get something. Yeah. 6% improvement. Yeah. This wind has kind of pushed us off the ledge. We got up here to glass and listen for bugles, and can't hear anything with this wind, so we're going to slip down into a little honey hole we have in the deep timber and sit for 30 or 45 minutes and listen, and then if we don't hear anything, we're going to make a move to where we think that the elk are bedded up. So it's crunch time. We're going to go get them.
So after the encounter with a small calf, we relocate out to a point and start glassing. After about 30 minutes, come up over a hill, and there's cows and bulls everywhere. But at this point, it's dark, and I can't even see my pins. At that point, the herd's already 500 yards away. We try to make a move. We get close, and then the wind starts swirling. As soon as it swirled, the cows picked up on it, and they were gone. Got the sun going down, goes over the top of the mountains, and as it sets, so does my hunt. This is definitely another learning experience. It doesn't matter how well physically or mentally you are prepared for this hunt. The encounters that I've had, I've had one that come in way too close, one that came in at the perfect range, just head on, and then the other one that came in blindsided and was blocked by a tree. It all comes down to luck and the bull or the elk making the right move that you need to pull off your shot. Although I'm not going home with antlers in the bed of my truck, I'm definitely going home with a trophy experience and a hunt that's going to last a lifetime.